Okay. I don't know what the difference was there. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Um, yeah. Thank you for being interested in what I'm doing and showing your interest by showing up. I really appreciate it. Um, yes. So I'm not going to tell you every single thing that's happened in the last 2 years. It's going to be a bit more, yeah, or 2.5 years even. It's just going to be a bit of overview of what I do, what the base is that I work at, what we do, and just a few stories. So, yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, I'm just going to pray before we start. It's not a sermon, but I still like to start it with prayer because it's the Lord that allowed me to be there. So I just want to be grateful. So, yeah, Lord, I thank you for bringing me here to back to Red Lake for the summer and safe travels, and for allowing me to work in Norway and to live in Norway. Thank you for all these people that have showed up and showed interest in what I do, that you would guide my words tonight, and that we would, as we hear stories of different things that have happened, we would be reminded of who you are, your character, your grace, your love, and it would just be stirred in our hearts of what you're doing. In your name, amen. Sweet. So I have some snacks at the end, so you can look forward to that. My mom made. Yes, exactly. It's working. Evan is here because of that only. But there's Norwegian cinnamon rolls, which are not that different from American cinnamon rolls, except they're a little less sweet and they don't have icing on top, but they're really good. And I can't take much credit for them because Mom made them. I helped a little bit. So I found the recipe. Thanks, Mom. If you have questions or just if you're curious about something or didn't catch something or didn't understand, just ask. There's throughout. Don't worry about stopping me or pausing me. I can answer any questions. Yes, I think everyone here knows that I grew up here. And these are my parents and my grandparents. And this is the church that I grew up going to. So yeah, 4 years ago, I did a DTS, a discipleship training school, here with an organization called YWAM Odessa. And Odessa is the city that you see in the picture. And then 2.5 years ago, I went back to staff, and now I live there and work there. So I'm going to talk first about just a bit about the city and the location, like just where I live, just if you're interested. I find it interesting, a bit of the geography and so on. So this is Norway. And if you haven't looked at a map of Norway before, this is the capital, Oslo, and Ålesund is on the west coast where I live. And this is no man's land. I mean, there are cities up here. There's one up here somewhere, but it's like up here where there's highways with nothing and nothing. This side of the country is more the rich side of the country. You can connect it a lot to like BC, like the west coast, the kind of more money and so on. So that's the city where I live. And then, next picture here. So this is the city zoomed in. So this is the city looking out. That's view is from right here on this trail. You can see that's looking out this way. And that pin is where the base is, and that's where we work. So it's as you can see, the base is right at the center of the city. There's a grocery store there, and there's basically everything you need is within 5 minutes walking distance. Everything is really close. We all walk everywhere. All of our apartments are, actually it's kind of funny, there's a street right here, and I think 4 out of the 6 apartments that are connected to the base are all on that street. So everything's kind of on that one street right there. Goes east-west. Yeah. There's lots to do in the city if you're a tourist. It's a big tourist city. So there's a lot of there's lots of coffee shops and tourist shops and pretty views, but if you live there, it's not as interesting. So we do a lot of, we go to each other's apartments a lot. We have dinner with each other. We watch movies. We have game nights. And one thing that I really miss about living here is I can drive here. I can't legally drive in Norway. So that's kind of a bummer, something I definitely take for granted. When I'm here, I'm like, oh, I can drive again. But being in Norway, I can't. So then it's a huge blessing that we all live within like 2 kilometers of each other, or even 1 actually. We can all walk and see each other quite easily. It's the Norwegian law. If you have a visa, like I have, like my type of visa, it allows you 6 months when you first get the visa, and then after that, you have to get a Norwegian driver's license. And then that's it, no exceptions. So I'm working on getting my license, although it's quite a process. You have to do, it's an exchange, and you have to do a written test and a driving test, which is pretty in depth. So we'll see. Yeah. So then the city is quite fun. There's one more picture here. This is the base. As you saw, this is even more zoomed in. This building here and this building here is the base building. There's actually 2 different buildings. This is the front door. This is where all the students live, where we have meals, and so on, and they hang out mostly. This is the cathedral building where we have lectures and worship, and there's we have a small coffee bar, like a cafe of sorts. It's not open all the time. It's just open when we open it, which is not super often, but it's in there. And then our offices are on the floor below. So then this view, we're looking from the top of the mountain. This is the front door. If you're standing in the front door, this is what you're looking at up, and that picture was taken from right there off of that little lookout. So this is a nice park, and I mean, I think it's June or July is the nicest time of the year, so it's really green. And I actually think it's June because not all the leaves are came in yet. Yeah. In the wintertime, it's kind of dreary and gray and not as nice. So Ålesund is kind of a fun city. They do a lot of events. A lot of things happen. They have, I don't even know. They have festivals of different kinds, and often they'll do like food truck conventions. There'll be a bunch of food trucks. Anyway, things happen a lot. I don't always know that they're happening. So you want to play that video now? Whichever one. If I hit the slide, will it work? Okay, great. For example, that was a marching band that just happened to be going through the city. I had no idea it was going to be there. It happens a lot. It was probably announced somewhere, but I didn't know. And so we just followed it and listened to them. They're really good. It happens fairly often that marching bands go through, actually. Yeah. Something that I really love about living there is the community. This is a random picture that was taken. We were playing sports up on top of, this is actually a pool with like a spot to play sports on top of. It's kind of random, but you can play spike ball or soccer or things. And there was a rainbow and you know, a quick text in a group chat, and everyone goes, oh yeah, I'll come, and everyone comes and they play sports. And it's really easy to do because we're all so close together, and people are usually fairly willing, and if the weather's nice, then it happens. The ocean can't replace small lakes with lots of walleye in them, and I will always miss that. But this is also really, really good and special, and I really enjoy that. Yes. Okay. I think here, what's the next thing? Yeah. So that's a bit about the city and where I live. I'm going to move into a little more about the base itself, like the organization, YWAM, and what we do and what we work for and all that. Is there any questions?
Logan, this group, would they have all been students or staff?
This is a group of... this is a DTS. This is, he's staff, I'm staff, she's staff, he's staff, and some others, but a lot of them are students. It's a school that came in the fall, and this is probably, well, you can see just a chunk of the students that just decided to go, and so it's a mixture. Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. So then, YWAM Ålesund. So YWAM Ålesund it's been around now since 1998. It was really going well during those, like the end of the 90s and into the early 2000s, and then different leadership came and it kind of was it was a bit dead, not much was happening. And I think 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I don't actually remember, the current leaders who are leading the base took over. And they are doing an amazing job. They're part of the reason I went back, because I saw their leadership and I really respected their leadership and knew that this was a place I could be. They made it clear that there was a space for me to learn and to grow and to be a part of it. So then I decided, yeah, coming back. There's more to that, of course. As a base, we do three things, or three focuses. We have training, local impact, and ships. Briefly, training covers all the DTSs. So the DTSs that I work with and run that happen twice a year, that's all under training. And the second focus is local impact. So we have a team called the Local Impact Team. They are a team of roughly 2 to 6 people, depending on the season. And they focus a lot on youth groups. They're I think I have it written down here. They're primarily focused on youth groups. They do lots of youth events. They do lots of youth groups and put on like weekend trips and so on for youth. They also, I don't think I have a picture of it, but right across from the base there's actually a prison, and it doesn't look like a prison. It's just this nice yellow building. It's actually a high security, maximum security prison as well. And all of the inmates have birthdays, but then no one does anything for their birthdays, so we've actually have a really good relationship with them, and somebody on base will make a birthday cake for them and deliver it to them when the inmate has a birthday, and then they get a birthday cake. And a lot of people have been really blessed by that, and a lot of them, there's actually one in particular who was in prison, got birthday cakes, and now is out and has a full-time job, is doing really well. And he comes to our base regularly. Whenever we have an event, he wants to come and see it. So it's really cool. It has an impact, just making cake. And then the third focus is ships. This is a bit of a stranger one just because of our connection, but we have a really strong connection with the country of Papua New Guinea, which is right, Papua New Guinea. I should have a picture of it on the map, but it's in the Pacific over by Australia. It's a long ways away. And it's fairly, their healthcare system is next to none. And the amount of people who don't have any access or are like 2-day boat drive to a hospital are many. And a lot of them live on the coast. And so we have a strong connection with the YWAM base in Australia, and they have this ship here. And we are constantly sending people there. Our base leader is actually a ship's captain. He spent time there. We're working as the ship's team, which is a specific team at our base, is currently fundraising and building up a plan to build a ship and then sail it to PNG and have it servicing Papua New Guinea with healthcare. And I think they want to do 5 ships over the next 30 years. So it's a long-term plan, so that's a big part of our base as well. Yes, and okay. And then that's our 3 main focuses. Just briefly, a bit of our structure as a base. This is how you know what you're supposed to do and what your job title is and these things. We call it circles. Everybody has a circle, or it could just be called a team. I don't know why we call it circles, but we do. There's the ship's team, training, which is the DTS, I'm a part of that circle. Backbone, which I'm also a part of. I'm a part of 2 with doing maintenance. Local impact, personnel, which takes care of all the communications and member care and so on. Media team, all of our social media, our website, those kind of things. Worship and prayer, they facilitate all of our worship times and our prayer times and those kind of things. There is also the finance circle, but it's not up there. They're very important, even though they're not up there. So back to the base, I just want to tell a quick story. This base. Yes, this is the prison right here. It doesn't look like a prison. You would never know. But there is razor wire over here. Yeah, there might be. So the story, I just wanted to share the story because I thought it was really cool. A way God has worked and has provided for us. So when the base started under Jan and Randi, the current base leaders 7-8 years ago, they rented this building. So we still rent it. It's not ours. We don't own it. We own this one, but not this one. It wasn't big enough. The DTSs were small, but it was very crammed. And so they were praying and looking for a new building. They really wanted this building because it's right beside it. It has all the space we would need. It worked. Everything about it worked really well. And but it's a church. It was an old church, and they weren't selling it. It wasn't for sale. It was just there. They weren't using it. It was actually closing down. The church was closing down, but they weren't really saying, yeah, it's up for sale or anything. So they were praying about it and felt like should offer to buy it. They should ask to buy it. And they were going back and forth about this, and the YWAM Norway, so there's 2 leaders that lead the whole nation of YWAM. There's several bases. He actually flew to Ålesund and met with the base leader, with Jan, and said, hey, we need to go ask to buy it. And just out of the blue, kind of just showed up. He just felt like he should do that, and so he said, okay. So they went, and I think, if I might get the details right here, I hope I do. They were sitting down with the guy and said, hey, the guy's name is Andreas, the national leader. Andreas said, we would like your building. He didn't say we want to buy it or we want to have it. We would like your building. And the guy said, yeah, funny thing, we were talking about that as a team, and we would want to give it to you. And they had run lots of youth events through it, and they saw that, wow, YWAM is youth focused. They do a lot with youth. We love that they have that. We want that to continue. We want this building to always be filled with youth, and it is. So they just gave it to us. Well, they didn't. They gave it to us for 1 kroner, which is like 12 cents, because they had to do something for the legal documents. But not just that, they also had a bunch of leftover money that they had set aside for renovations. They said, well, the church is closing down, so we're going to give this to you as well, which was 800,000 kroner, which is about $117,000, which we've put aside for renovations and I think recently used to redo our whole roof and so on, because it was very bad. So that was amazing. And that's an amazing testimony that a lot of us are reminded of, that we're like living in a miracle. And all of us are, every day we go to work and we're living in a miracle. And the office is in that same building, so yeah. So I hope that's encouraging to you guys. Yeah, any questions about that? I'm going to move on to the next thing. Cool.
Just one thing about that.
Yeah.
Just back up to that. You can't tell from there, but it's quite steep. The road right there from the entrance.
It goes steeply down. Yeah.
It goes steeply down. There's actually that road coming in between the building to the right. Goes into an underground parking garage. It's actually a tunnel.
Yeah, if you drive up this street here, you can't really see the street, but you drive right up here, and then underneath the ground here, this whole thing is like a 4-story parking garage. It's really it's also really expensive to park there. Yeah. All right, DTS. So I mentioned Joel, and that DTS is what I did when I first went. So the DTS is the main thing that we do. The most people, the most resources, the most time and effort and everything goes into the DTS. We run 2 every year, one from September to March and one from January to June. And if you guys know Joe, my brother, Josiah, he just finished his the January school, January to June. Oh, Lamar. Oh, I thought you were teasing me. Oh, okay. Josiah. I thought you were saying like, oh, who? I don't know who you're talking about. Joe, yeah. Okay, great. Lamar knows who it is now. Josiah. Josiah Graber, my younger brother. Okay, great. Yeah, this is a bit of the DTS. We spend a lot of time. It's very community-oriented. We really. It's modeled a bit after, not a bit. It's modeled after the way Jesus walked with his disciples, where they lived together, they ate together, they slept together, they had the same day-to-day, often schedule. And so a lot of the DTS learning actually happens outside of just the teaching, like, formal teaching, everyone's sitting in a classroom and there's a teacher speaking. A lot happens there, but a lot also, almost I would say more happens outside of that, when there's discussions about the teaching over meals, or when they're just about to fall asleep and they're talking in their dorms and someone is thinking, oh, what did you guys think about this? And yeah, which is very, very on purpose. Like that was very intentional that it's set up that way. I remember on my DTS, I was really surprised with how quickly I bonded with the guys in my dorm. We had great relationships. I still text some of them occasionally, not super often, but occasionally. And when I see updates on them, I'm always excited to see. And we had lots of good conversations that I never would have expected to happen after only knowing someone for a couple weeks. So I really, something I'm grateful for and something that I see happen every single DTS is 2 weeks and people are good friends and they feel like they've known each other for a long time. Like, how did this happen? Well, you just live together. Yeah. So the DTS is, I've explained this to certain people before and maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. It's 5 to 6 months long. The September school is 6, the fall school, spring school, January school is 5 months. It runs, the first half, 3 months, is lectures, which would be more of this type of, this is a special thing where I don't know what all is going on here, but lectures where you sit in the classroom and a teacher comes, they cover different topics, topics like biblical foundations, relationships, hearing God's voice, God's character and nature, missions, lots of different topics. And it's a season of, like, you really get into a rhythm of going to lectures and sitting in lectures and learning. And but like I said, a lot of that learning comes outside of lectures. And that's the whole point of that is to equip them, to give them tools, to help them learn how to do missions, how to share the gospel, how to be solid in their faith so that they can share the gospel, not just to give them tools, but then they don't have the foundation to speak. So a lot of it also is really basic, but really needed Christian foundation values that we teach. Like I said, like biblical foundations and how to hear God's voice, or how to, or just different attributes of God that you need to know in your heart. One of the weeks that hi Jeremy. One of the weeks that I really enjoyed and was most impacted by, probably most impacted by, was identity. And so it's the whole week just covering the topic of who you are in Christ, and that you're a son or a daughter of God, and that you're saved because Jesus died for your sins. But more than that, he also made you new, and you are actually really loved, and you're forgiven, and you have a calling, and all these things. That was really impactful. It takes a lot of people experience, I've heard many stories of students experiencing moments where they believed something about themselves that wasn't true, where it was like, I can never do this, I can never go into missions, or I can never share the gospel because no one will listen to me, or I don't have a voice, or something similar. And that week is often, those things are exposed for a lie that they are, and the truth is spoken. So it's really impactful. Yeah. We also, I'll come back to that. So then that's the first phase of a DTS. Second phase is what's called outreach. That's where we take what we've learned and what we've practiced and what we've tried to do a little bit, and we put it into a real life situation called outreach. I think a lot of us have been on outreaches of different kinds. They look like many different things, but the teams are formed, and they're formed in the beginning of the school, but the teams are formed, and then we go out, they go to many different nations. I don't actually have all the nations, but I know we've been to Papua New Guinea. We go there almost every school because we have a connection with them. We've been to Malaysia, the UK, Nepal, Sweden, Japan, Australia, Solomon Islands, Faroe Islands, which I didn't know was a country until we were setting a team there. So we've been all over the place. And then this is two pictures from the two outreaches that I've been on. This is the UK. It's myself and a few others. We were just playing some worship music in the middle of a street and letting how we did it, and it worked really well. And just to open up conversation, we just played songs and just played worship music. Didn't really think about or pay attention to what was happening around us. We just played. And then there was a few other members of the team / the people who brought us there, our contacts. They were all kind of standing around, listening to the music, and people would just come up and stop and listen and be curious. What is this about? And when they would do that, one of our team would walk up to them and just ask them what they saw and ask them what they thought and strike up a conversation. And many times they would be able to talk about Jesus, and a lot of cool stories happened out of that. And I loved it because I just got to play guitar and sing, or worship in the streets.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
you what you played.
Yeah,
Maybe second hand.
this is me here. Yeah,
Oh, maybe that's you on the right.
this is Simeon. He decided not to cut his hair for the whole DTS. Yeah. It was pretty bad by the end. But
I feel like you had decided.
yeah, that does sound like something I would do, yes. And this is the other outreach that I led in Nepal. This is a really special picture. Something that, probably have that later, but I'm going to share it now. This is us doing what they call in Nepal a house fellowship. It's really basic. You just show up. If you're a Christian, you get invited. You just show up. You usually start with prayer. They sing a few songs. Someone shares a devotional, a short message of some kind, like 15 minutes, and then you chat. And that's it. And that, it's like a mini church service, I guess. But this is on top of someone's house, and I think there was maybe 3 or 4 people there, and then our whole team, which was like double that. And I will not forget how hard the Christians in Nepal work to be Christians. Some of them walk up to 4 hours every Sunday to go to church, up and down and through the mountains, through the Himalayas, to just get to church, and church looks like that, where there's a half a dozen to 15 people sitting around sharing something that they read in the Bible, or which there's probably only 1 or 2 Bibles, or heard some. They have dumb phones with SIM cards, and you can put a Bible, like a recorded Bible SIM card in, or SD card, not a SIM card. So that's that was really eye-opening to me, to think of how privileged I am that I can just jump in my car and drive to church. And there's fellowship, and there's worship, and there's sound, and there's many people, like-minded people, whereas they walk long ways and often through other villages where people are Hindu and are really, really harsh. There's a lot of persecution. So I try to remember that, to be grateful for what I have. So when we were in Nepal, we joined many of these house fellowships where they would say, "Oh, we're going here. There's a house fellowship happening." It's like, "Happening? Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, okay, happening." So we would have a devotional, and they usually sang Nepali songs, so that was usually on them. But and we never really we didn't get to hear so much because of the language barrier, but our translator told us almost every time, you have no idea the effect this has on the people, how blessed they feel that you came from Norway. Some of you even further, though they didn't even know that. Came all the way from Norway just to walk up here and spend time with us. That meant a lot to them. And it makes sense, but wow, I didn't realize how much. Yes.
Nepal, is the lack of Bibles and big gatherings and all that because of persecution, or just because they can't afford it? That situation specifically is because of the remoteness of the Himalayas.
And roads are non-existent in some places, just trails, or really bad roads, and they use motorcycles, and don't have money to buy cars, don't have money to buy things. It's just hard to get into the city. In the city, we went to one church in the city, and it felt like here. It was full production, service, everything was like what we were used to. But in the more mountain regions is where it's really remote and hard to reach and less developed. Yeah. Yes. Okay, now I wasn't supposed to say that story until later, so that's unfortunate, but that's okay. But I did. So I'm going to go back just a tad. DTS. So, yeah. So that's the school. 3 months of lecture, 2 months of outreach, 5 months long. Learn how to do things, be equipped, be taught, to be discipled by the staff and by each other, and then go out and practice. Get exposed to what missions is like. Just try different things you've never tried before. A lot of them have never done missions or been on a missions trip. Some of them come with very weak faiths and are sharing the gospel with someone. They become a Christian and their mind is just blown as much as the person who's sharing or being shared to. It's lots of stories like that. But there's something else that we have, which I'm sure some of you have heard about, is called tracks. The best way I could explain it is it's like a focus within the DTS. So, I should have a list. I don't have a list. That's okay. So we have the creative tracks and we have outdoor track. So there's two, I'm going to leave on this one for a bit. There's two types. There's a bit of a divide and definitely a different kind of person that comes to do creative tracks and outdoor track. But there's, well, we talk about this a lot. There's a lot of you guys can be creative and you guys can try to be outdoors, but it pushes them and it pushes us. But there's divide, but also there's no conflict at all. It's just different people, which makes it a big mix of people. And the outdoor track is generally about 1/3 of the school, and the creative tracks are generally about 2/3. We have, I think I listed them all here. We have photo track, film track, writing track, fine art track, dance track, music track, and barista track. Yeah. And sometimes the school doesn't have one or it changes, the tracks change depending on what staff are available to lead the tracks and what students apply, because sometimes not all the tracks are filled. And if we get one student, we usually refer them to a different school or a different track if they can. So the creative tracks, their vision or their idea, their goal is to co-create with the creator, is how they call it. So they take their gifts of photography or painting and learn how to do that in a way that includes God in it and isn't just, look at this nice painting that I made, but actually, I like this verse. This verse has stood out to me a lot. I'm going to paint something that kind of illustrates this verse, and then I'm going to give it to somebody, and it blesses people. And there's a lot to do with that. They do something called a prophetic night, where every creative student has another student that they don't know, and they make a piece of some kind. They write a song, they take a picture, they paint a picture, they write a poem or a story, and then we have a night where they present it to the student and say what they had behind it. I was reading my Bible and I had this and this thought and this verse, and the picture means this. And often the person is very touched, and it speaks a lot to them and into their situation or whatever they're going through at the moment or the stage of life that they're in. It's really special night. Yes, so that's really cool, but the outdoor track is cooler. That's what I'm involved in with a lot more. I would get a lot of boos if I said that in front of the people there, but they're okay. So this is what I do. I'll come back to talk about what I do, but the outdoor track is our slogan or tagline is to go beyond the adventure. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it has a lot of meaning to it. Any one of us can go on an adventure. I mean, a lot of us here like to fish. Any one of us can jump in a boat, go out, catch some fish, go home. Great, we have fish, had a good time, and it kind of ends there. It can very easily end there as just a memory. What we aim to do and what we work to do is to bring the adventure ends at a certain point, but then God continues past it, and we try to see that when you're hiking or when you're fishing, where's God in that situation? What is He doing? What has He done that you get to do this? What can you learn? What can you grow from? A lot of what we do it can really stretch people, especially physically. And if we're hiking along high mountains or a long ways, or if we're trying, one thing that we do is climbing, rope climbing, wall climbing, rock climbing, but usually indoor. And that's a really big step for some people. They're high up. They have to trust somebody with the rope and everything. And we use that. I use that one as an analogy. Like, if God were holding your rope, do you trust Him to hold you and catch you if you fall? And a lot of people see the adventure as just something they go out and do, but a lot of them leave, and that's our goal, is think, wow, I'm actually hiking in God's mountains. I'm not just hiking. If it wasn't for God making these mountains, I would not have been able to. And a lot of them leave going, wow, I never thought I would have been able to hike that distance through this elevation with this much stuff on my back. I never would have been able to do that. But with a team of supportive people and really supportive staff, we try to be very encouraging and sensitive to what people are, where they're at, but then push them a little bit, Actually, I think you can do this. I bet you if you try, you can. And a lot of people are blown away with what they're able to do, actually. So there's a lot more to that. The long-term vision with Outdoor Track was started by our base leader, Jan, or him and his wife, but this was more his idea. And he wants, because of the ties we have with Papua New Guinea has a lot of mountains, and there's a lot of people that live in the mountains that, same as Nepal, don't have access to the Bible, to church, to just contact to people outside in general. And his whole idea and vision was to take the outdoor track to build strength physically, to learn how to learn how to share, of course, the gospel and be open and sharing, and then take those two, combine them, and trek and hike and take the Bible and take the gospel and into the mountains of PNG. So that vision hasn't fully happened yet, but we've sent 2 teams to Nepal to kind of start that, what it looks like to plan it, and I was part of one of them, as I shared a little bit ago. That was really cool, and it's like I said, it was so eye-opening to see how far people have to travel and how far it is to travel to get to them. And if you haven't had some sort of training, it's not possible. It's really demanding, and we were pretty beat afterwards, I gotta say. Yeah. So yes, that is, my next slide is something that I already covered. I'm just gonna take a drink of water. Anybody have any questions? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just skipping all my notes. Oh, that's because I'm going backwards. I'm going to go this way. That makes more sense. Okay. Yeah.
Is that sand?
This? No. It's the road itself, like this right here on the road surface, is pretty sandy, but this is just hard packed dirt. You can see the rice fields here, actually. Yeah. They're not producing it all this time of year, but yeah. This is a power line.
No,
or where?
right in the bare corner.
Here?
What is that?
I think that's a metal roof.
Oh, that's pretty.
There was I think there was several years ago, there was something earthquake or something that went through that region. And after some time, the government actually sent out a bunch of metal roofing to help rebuild buildings. So if there's a building with blue metal roofing, it was from the government. Yeah, from that time. And it's only 4 years old or however old. This elevation, I think, was 2,900 meters. I don't know what that is in feet. Times 3.1 something. Yeah. It's high enough that when we first got there, the first day, we were exhausted. And the second day, we were a little less exhausted. And then after the second or third day, we hiked up higher to like 32 or something, 33. And I just had a very small backpack with a water bottle and the small things, and I was exhausted. I'm like, where did all my training go? I can't do this. Yeah, elevation is crazy. And that's only like 15% less oxygen or something. It's not even that much. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. If anybody have any more questions or interesting stories about outreach. That is unfortunately very squished, this picture. But this is the team. Yeah. Wouldn't it be thin arrow make you taller? Anyways, yeah, this is our team. This is me and my co-leader, Samaya. She has led the outdoor track many times as well. So we were picked to do this outreach. And she's led another one now, actually. Yeah. This is at 3,600. And we stopped and camped, well, there was a building there and everything. It was a base camp for higher treks at 4,200. And that was really hard. I've never experienced something like that before. Not sickness, I wasn't sick, but what's it called? ACT? No, ATC? Altitude something sick. Yeah. I can't remember. Something to do with it's pretty normal to experience, and it's not life-threatening unless certain symptoms happen. But your heart is just like racing, and you're standing still, and you're physically exhausted because you've been working, and you're really high up, and you don't have as much oxygen. So you go to lay down and go to sleep, and you lay down, and you're like, oh, I'm so beat, I'm ready to sleep, and your heart's just like 85 BPM, and you're, well, this is terrible. One of the students got really quite sick, unfortunately. We were able to get him out, and everything was okay. The cure is to go down. As soon as you can go down, just go down, and he's fine. He's totally fine. But yeah, I've got some other crazy stories from this time. Less stories from the UK, more because it was longer ago and I've forgotten some things. Okay, I will move on a little bit to what I'm currently doing. If everybody's good with that. Okay, so what I'm doing now. Oh, that's okay. I'm repainting the base, yeah. I think that I changed it to maintenance, like that word was supposed to be maintenance, but it's okay. Maintaining. This was the Springs project, was painting and doing a lot of, my document is called Base Facelift, lifting up the face of the base, trying to make it look nicer. Yeah, about a year and a half ago or a bit more, when I was in Nepal, I was in the process of considering, should I stay longer? Should I go home? What more is there for me to do there? Is there more for me to do? I would like to stay, and all these questions. And every time someone would ask me, I found myself saying like, I think it'd be cool to be in maintenance. That's something that I like doing. I like fixing things, I like working with my hands. And I was like, why? I keep saying this to people, but what am I saying to myself? Is it something that I want to do? Should I just do that? And it dawned on me that I had been in Olesen for over a year, and I loved being there. But a part of my for being there was to learn, to grow, to develop as a person, as a leader, as a Christian. And those are good things, but it wasn't necessarily outward. It's good to learn how to grow, and it was good to know. It was good to be there to grow, but if that was my only motivation, it was actually sort of selfish. And I realized, I've been here for some time. I have skills. What can I give? And what could I actually give back to the base for what it's taught me, and continue to grow, but give while I'm here? And I realized, I could definitely serve in maintenance, and I could help with that. And they didn't at the time have someone who was doing maintenance, so it was a big need. Actually, they did, and he hated it. It was not his skill set, and he was ready to move out. He actually lives with me right now, and every time I talk about it, he's like, I'm so thankful that you're in maintenance. He's like, when you talk about it, you get excited. When I talked about it, I just got stressed. So we're in our skill set, so that's good. And so I thought about that more and more, and I felt like the Lord was saying that you have something to give. You could bless the people and the base and the community and the wider community with the experience that people have, just because the building is nice to the best that you can do. So I did, and that's one of the reasons why I'm there. I'm still there. And I'm definitely over my head. There's way more to do than I could ever do. There's countless projects, and I think you can see, yeah, I was going to say, in this one picture, this is where I talked to a friend who talked to someone who knows how to do concrete and can actually come in and fix this, because it's very expensive to fix, but we don't have the resources, and I don't have the experience to fix something like that. There's multiple things like that that are a bit bigger projects there's actually several that are quite a bit bigger than this. This is on a smaller scale, actually, compared to some of the others. And so I do the best I can, but something that I really take joy in is when somebody who doesn't know so much about using their hands or fixing a shower or something like that, something breaks, they're stressed out, they're afraid, I don't know what to do with this, how do I fix this? My shower's broken, now I can't take a shower. Like, that's A equals B, or A plus B equals C. Like, broken, now I can't shower. And I often get contacted. I try to teach people how to do things on their own so I don't get contacted on how to change a light bulb. But then I come and I help, or I have 2 other guys that work with me sometimes, and we go together, we fix it, or they go and fix it. And they're super, super grateful. And okay, it's not about me and the fact that I fixed it. It's the fact that they have a better life experience now. Their living experience in their apartment is smoother. They can relax. They don't have to be stressing about where to take their next shower because their shower works. And there's a lot of monthly things like that happen, that reoccur. Something will break, something usually simple, and it'll be easily fixed, and their life is better. And I really enjoy that. It's really fulfilling for me, and I get to use my hands, and I get really restless if I don't get to use my hands. I spend about 2 to 3 days a week just in the office on my computer planning, and then the rest I go do things. And as much as I can go do things, I go do things. But often it's often simple things that just need to be purchased and replaced or installed. So it's not a big job, and it just requires us going to the store, buying it, coming back. And that's, yeah. Okay, Ash.
You obviously get a lot of thank yous.
Yeah. Many thank yous.
That's
Many grateful people.
showing gratitude.
Yeah. I should probably stop talking, but otherwise I'll talk way too much about it. Yeah. This spring, if you read my newsletter, you would know a little more, but if not, that's okay. There's, like I said, the base facelift. Every Friday, I got the whole base on board. We put it into the schedule. It was called, we called it Power Friday. Every Friday, we would normally have Power Hour, which is where we would clean the whole base in an hour. And then we extended it to Power Friday, where everyone shows up in the morning with their work clothes on. I've already assigned everybody something. Okay, you're doing that, you're doing that, you're doing that. Everyone goes, they get on their job. Someone's in charge of every job. Sometimes it's me, depending on the job, and we work. And it's one of my favorite times. This was part of that, painting the base, and what's that? Getting lots done. We got a bunch of stuff done this fall. We painted a bunch of things and cleaned out a bunch of areas that had just junk. Back of the truck to the dump. Yeah. I have been really blessed, and it's something that I'm reminded of at this church as well, how willing people were to help. Some who have really important things to do, like really important tasks with their other jobs that they should actually be spending time on, and they'll say, I'll work with this in the morning, and then I'll come join you. Because they want to be a part of it. They want to make sure that they are actually helping and not like they don't feel like they're slacking off, but they're really willing. And that's something I've also been impressed with this church, is really willing to help people and to fix things and to gather, to support people. And I just think about the renovations we did in the church a while back and how many people came in and helped who didn't need to but wanted to. Yeah, it reminds me of that. Yes. So, and then comes the other thing that I do. Yes. So I was asked to do this last spring, so just over a year ago. And the role is, it's basically putting on all those track times I talked about during the week when the outdoor track goes and does hikes and they go climbing and they do these things. I was in charge of planning them, leading the individual track times, doing risk assessment so we don't get hurt or die or do anything that we shouldn't do. And then also very important, which is probably one of the most rewarding but also can be challenging parts, is to really fulfill that vision of where's God in this. So we always start every track time with praying. If it's a Friday, which we do all day Friday, we have track time. It's a Friday, we'll often have a devotional. I'll start with one, or maybe another staff will do one, and then as time goes on, I'll ask the students to do them, and they start practicing doing and like writing devotional. Some of them have never done that before, and some are amazing, and some are a bit rough. But that's exactly the space for it, where they can try with people that they know. And I try to ask the more confident ones first, so people get warmed up to the idea. And yeah, it's a really, really fulfilling time. This is the crew that I led this January. This is me. This is Thomas. He helped me. He was a staff, and then these five are the students. And it was so much fun. We had so much fun. This is only 5 students. The track can be up to 15, even more. Actually, the one in the fall was 18, which was a bit too many. But it was a lot of people to keep track of. It stretched our resources a bit. 15 is great. 5 is a little less, but we had so much fun because it just became a family. Like we weren't just going on hikes as outdoor track. We had this little friend group, and we would go have adventures together. And this guy right here, his name is Ben, and I don't think he knows I'm talking about him right now, but that's okay. He's a really good guy, good friend of Josiah's. This was also Josiah's DTS. He was intrigued and excited to learn how to like rock climb, but terrified. Like he's like, I don't know if I can do this, and we start really slow. Don't go all the way up, and there's multiple people making sure you don't fall with the ropes. And as the evening went on and he got more warmed up to it, there was a particular route that was really, really hard to climb, and especially for a beginner. And he was trying it, and he was doing pretty good, but he was probably 2/3 of the way up, and he was yelling down, "Hey, I don't think I can make it. I'll probably fall, or maybe you can let me down." And everyone started to just be like, "No, you can do it. Like, come on. Like, no, you're almost there, Ben. Keep going. Keep trying." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he just kept pushing, and he did it. He went to the top, and when he came down, he's like, "I never would have thought ever that I would have been able to do something like that." And he was so he was really touched and just impressed with, one, his own ability that he didn't realize he had, and two, the power that others have when you are encouraged or supported. I don't know if you've probably heard this before, but I think of it often. I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm going to say it again. A horse by itself can pull, I don't remember what it was. Dad, do you know how much it is? It's like 2,000 something pounds or something, depending on what they're dragging. And then you would think that a horse beside it would double the amount, but it's 5 times it can carry when there's 2. And so we talk about that a lot of when you're hiking, when you're climbing, when you're, what else do we do? Kayaking, camping. We do a little bit of survival, which is a really test of character. When you're doing those things, having people around you who are able to, when you're low, speak something encouraging to bring you up, and then when they're low, just be able to speak something encouraging to them, makes the biggest difference. So many of the activities we've done, I think a number of them, most of them, I don't even know if I would be able to do them or really want to if I was by myself. You would lose motivation so quickly. So that's a story I hear often when we talk. At the end of the school, I always get feedback from the students and how it was and what they were impacted by and what could have changed and so on. And that's a story I hear often is, man, the power of community, the power of support and relationships, it means so much. And it allowed me to do things that I never thought I would have been able to do. That phrase, I never would have thought I'd been able to do this, and I was able to. Wow, It's really amazing. And it's fun because I get to be a part of that and make sure that they have a good experience and try to put them in those situations where they can be pushed out of their comfort zones a little bit. Yeah. Any questions on that? No one's ever died.
Has there been anyone that has been either close to being able to be transferred or having to be
There
transferred out of it, or
there has been a couple injuries, definitely injuries. There was one instance of a girl who slipped and slid down the mountain partway and twisted her ankle really bad, and she was in a sled and they towed her out, and then she limped for a week or two, and it was okay. Like she went on outreach, and it was okay, but
anybody have to
nothing
leave the
crazy.
program because it's not working out for them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We've had a couple people. I can only think of one who actually switched tracks. He was actually a Norwegian and does this kind of thing all the time. And was like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending money to do this? And he didn't really enjoy it that much anyways. So he switched to the music track where he loves playing guitar and loves singing in worship. Oh no, playing keys? I can't remember. Just loves singing in worship. And he switched to that and had a great time. It was much better suited for him. But so it wasn't nothing terrible, I don't think. Yeah. I have been, one more note and then I'm just about done, actually. One of the things that I've learned with leading outdoor track, this is the first time leading, and I also will be leading again in January. I always had this thought, right? Okay, you're doing a devotional, pray beforehand. The activity that we're using today, how can I use it to bring God into the picture as we're walking or as we're talking or as we're sitting around having dinner in the evening, if we're camping, what could I bring up? And every time that I would stress over trying to make God a part of this, it would either not really work or I would come up blank or it would never really land well. But then the more I realized, I had to prioritize spending time with God myself. And every time that I would stop stressing about it and just go be intentional with reading my Bible and praying and just having some alone time with God, I found that every time I did that, the times that I talked about, times that I brought God into the activity were just so much better. And it was clear that what I was saying was not just coming from me and I wasn't making it about me. It wasn't something that I produced. It was something that was coming from God, from the Word. And that was humbling, first off, because it shows you that it's actually not so much about me at all. And for there to be a good product, and for them to have an experience with God, I need to know God as well. I can't produce something that I don't know. So yeah. Any other questions with that? Derek looks like he has a question. I'm just putting you on the spot.
How much time do you spend doing this versus maintenance? Like, just a year? Well, when this isn't running, I'm full-time maintenance, and then a few side details for outdoor. When outdoor track is running, I basically have enough time to do the bare minimum for maintenance. So this thing are broken, they're top priority. I'm going to spend 2 hours today figuring those things out, and then I'm going to go back to planning. That's also because it was my first time doing it, and I was learning a lot as I went. I think now, this coming season, having done it before, planning a track time depending on if it's a Friday, which is just a day, it'll take me 2 hours, or maybe 3. If it's a weekend, it'll take me a day or 2. If it's an afternoon, it'll take me a couple hours. So I've gotten better at it, but so I would say 80-20 this last term, 80% on outdoor track and then 20% on maintenance. Yeah.
Next time, will you recycle the same things and just do them over again?
Oh, yeah. I'll probably copy and paste my old schedule and then adjust it and tweak it because there'll be some things that I do the same. Yeah, very much.
Are the tracks like your 2 months of outreach?
So yeah, okay.
The training is
So the tracks run during the lecture phase only. Yeah, outreach is just outreach, and the tracks are like people are all mixed together. It doesn't matter what track you are. The outreach teams are made within the whole school. So every Tuesday afternoon and every Friday all day is track time. So then you go with your track and do whatever that you're doing that day.
to your Power Fridays or what?
That was, yeah, so that's for the DTS, that's for the school. Power Fridays we were able to do in the spring because there was no school here. The September school had graduated and was gone, and the January school were all on outreach. And I didn't go on outreach this spring. So that was just the staff. Yes, thanks for clarifying that. That was, yeah, there was, I think, about 30 of us there, or no, maybe even less. A lot of people were also doing trips and things during the spring. So there was probably about 15 to 20 of us every Friday doing the Power Friday.
How big-
Yeah, that's a good
So
question.
you say 30 people, that sounds really big
Yeah.
for just staff. How big is the school with the students?
So the student, that was staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 45 of us staff with different capacities and different roles. And some you see all the time, some you don't see much because they're traveling a lot or whatever, or their parents. There's currently 3 people on maternity leave. So we have a lot of babies around, which is really fun. The school is generally between 25 and 35 students. Josiah's school was 22 students, and the fall school was 35. And the school before that was 32. And the staff team, yeah, I could talk about that if you want. The staff team is generally 6 to 8 DTS staff, and then 2 school leaders. So the school looks like that. It's 2 school leaders, sometimes 3, that are in charge of the whole school. They line up the teachers, they plan the school, they plan the teaching weeks, they put it all together, they put the teams, they put the teams together, they pick the outreach locations. They are the person to go to if they have a question regarding the school. They're in charge of all of that. And then next is the DTS staff team, and that's a whole team with the leaders in the staff team. This is what I've done twice now. They kind of do everything else. They do some admin, like lining up cars for things, or someone will be in charge of like a fun night every week or every month, and some will be in charge of getting the students to church every Sunday and getting the cars arranged for that. Like they just do some admin, and then they sit in the lectures with the students, and you always try to sit beside students because you talk about a lot of stuff during lectures, and often there's breaks, and so you talk during the breaks, and they also lead an outreach. That's probably the biggest job of the DTS staff is planning throughout the lecture phase and then leading an outreach.
The age group.
Average age would be, I think it's probably about 19 to 25 for a student. Yeah, we still get 18-year-olds, and this is very rare. We had a 74-year-old. She's a local and has wanted to do one for years, and so she just lived in town, so she just drove to class every day.
That sounds like me. I'm going to be 17.
There you go. It's possible for everyone. We often get couples, actually. We often get married couples, especially like newlyweds or a year or two into marriage, and one of them has heard about it, or one of them has done a DTS, and they decide to do it again, but together, and that's really fun. Yeah. I really love the DTS staff role. Okay, this is the last thing I'll say. I really love the DTS staff role. You basically just get to know a bunch of people, really cool people, hang out with them, and then when they have questions, you answer them, and sometimes you challenge them on things when they say things, and then you have a lot of fun together. It can definitely be hard. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about conflict and how to resolve conflict and not to avoid conflict, and also the healthy way to go about conflict. And especially on outreach, you get 6 to 10 people in a small space living together, and eventually you start to get really annoyed at each other. Sorry, excuse me. And there's a lot of butting of heads, and you know each other well enough now that you're able to speak those things out instead of just ignoring them. But
but I've also seen the benefits and the fruit of when you just sit down and you talk about it, and people are honest and vulnerable, and they're heard, and people see each other. I've been on, like I said, 2 teams. In the second team, we got to that stage where people were really butting heads, and then we had a couple conversations. And after that, people understood each other, and our ministry was so much more effective. We were so much quicker at volunteering to do things. They're like, hey, I know this is your strength, and I know this frustrates you. I'm going to help you out by not doing that, but I'm going to pick up this thing for you. And yeah, wow, that's when you have a really high-functioning, performing team. That's really special. But yeah, I really love the role. I've done it twice. I don't know if I'll do it again. I'm pretty set in maintenance now and then outdoor track as well. So we'll see. But I've grown a lot living in Olison and doing these roles. I would say a little bit of the base community where everyone lives together and does a lot of life together reminds me of, I think it's just a little bit of what heaven will be like, where you know people really well, you're quick to make up when things go wrong. I guess that won't happen in heaven, but just people are genuine and invested in each other, and it's impacted me a lot of like, wow, how can I bring that kind of community back to wherever I live, like to Red Lake or wherever. Just people that are intentional and committed to each other and there for each other in times of need. And yeah, it's really special. Yeah, I think that's all I have. One more slide. This is if you are interested in the following newsletter donation page or the website or my email if you want to just ask me more questions. You can here. Yeah, yes, thanks, Mom. As YWAM, it's not just our base or not just me, it's actually the entire organization worldwide. No one gets paid. We all live off of support. Even if you're a base leader or a national leader of some kind, everybody lives off support. Everyone is expected to pay their own way. So that's what I'm doing. So I appreciate your support, but I'm not, if you are interested, you could just come talk to me.
What's YWAM stand for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never thought about that. YWAM stands for Youth with a Mission. And it was founded, I have no idea what year, in the 70s, by a guy named Lauren Cunningham and his wife, Darlene. He passed away a couple years ago. Yeah. There's a whole book about that.
The biggest needs at the base itself, or the program there?
What kind of need? Like physical need or
They're short staffing, the building.
not short-staffed? The building needs to be repaired, yes. That's a big need. Our electrical system is really, really weird. It's awful. There's different things about the building that need to be repaired, yeah. That's a big, big need.
Or any dreams of expanding other than the ships?
We're currently praying for more housing for staff. We have plenty of staff, we just don't have anywhere for them to live. Yeah, so you could pray for that. Looking at different apartment buildings. The same story about the base would happen with the prison, and they would just give us the prison. Because they have a whole workshop in the basement. And I would love it if I could have a workshop, because my workspace is really small. Without. They could just become students. Yeah, but you could definitely pray for that. Yeah. Yeah, or down the street, they can make another one. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because you're going to have encouragement from your Heavenly Father, maybe all those people would be turned over.
Yeah, that's what I said. They do just become students. Yeah. I think that's all I had. If you have any questions, please ask. You can ask here or we can chat. There are special treats at the back. I brought some different things back from Norway. There's a thing called Smash, which is, we have bugles here, like the little chip things, yeah, but they're covered in chocolate. So those are good. And then there's just squares of chocolate, which is like Norwegian chocolate, and there's a wafer inside that's very similar to a Kit Kat, but it's not the same, and it's specifically made in Norway. So those are good. And then there's a third thing called lefse. Lefse is just like this soft bread. Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, well, that makes sense. Oh yeah, no, they don't eat that there. It's one of those things that they used to, and now only American Norwegians eat it. And Norwegians don't, because it's not that good, and they have refrigerators now. Yeah, it's dried fish. Yeah, it's terrible. Lefse is like a fried potato with like butter and cinnamon in the middle. That's really good. You wouldn't expect it to be potato. It's sweet. And then there's brown cheese, which is like a goat. No, it's like the whey of cheese. It's kind of sweet. I'm not going to endorse it too much because I don't actually like it. But it's very Norwegian, and Dad said he liked it. Mom liked it. Grandpa said he liked it. It's no, not goat milk. That was misspoken. It's cow's milk, yeah. I think it can also be made from. And then Mom made cinnamon rolls. So please help yourself. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you guys showing up, supporting me, hearing me. Yeah. Thanks for coming. What are you looking at? One microphone.